So with that said, I'm pretty much done under here as far as what I can do. But since I can't get one today, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the inside of the car, getting the center console and everything removed. So of course on the inside of the car, we gotta pull out the old automatic shifter. And to do that, we need to remove this center console. So I actually already started on this just because I wasn't sure how to get it off. But when you open it up, there's a little rubber pad, I guess, on the bottom of this. You're gonna remove, use my little panel tool that I got from Harbor Freight. And there are 2 screws on the bottom. So you take those 2 out, lift this whole thing out. And what you see is you have 2 more screws in the back. And then once I take these off, that will give me access. So I'm gonna take those 2 off. Also, this shifter trim panel, again, I just use my tool and pop this up. This is not screwed down or anything, it's just sitting in there. But for now, we'll take these 2 off and see if I can get this main part of the center console off. So now with that out of the way, we can see there's actually some bolts underneath here where this whole shifter assembly can come out. Got the cable to your e-brake, some dog hair. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see what happens when I take these out. And then this, I actually take these 2 down here where I actually take the platform out. So I'm gonna take these 2 screws out, and then I'll try taking these out and the ones up front. See what happens. So taking those screws out just releases a little trim piece and a little light. All right guys, I'm over on the workbench. I didn't realize my card had filled up and my camera stopped rolling. But I got the center console off, got the automatic shifter out. You just take off like a few 12mm bolts. I'm going to take these rubber bushings out. They just kind of just sit in these holes. Found an easy way to do them is just use a pair of needle nose. Pull these little metal inserts out, and then you can just pull the rubber piece out with your fingers. You get the permits here. So again, use needle nose, pliers, pull that out. Bushing comes out. These can go in the trash. And I'm going to replace them with these solid bushings. They use 2 per corner. So basically you're going to sandwich them where it's machined. It's going to go like this. They're going to sandwich together and then the bolt's going to go through. This should help some of that slop that you feel in the shifter. So what I'm going to do, I'm just set these in here. Like I said, taper side up. Just kind of set it down in place. The new manual shifter directly on top of it. I'm just gonna put the new ones on top. Use your stock bolts. Tighten everything back up. Alright guys, so this is what you're looking at. Of course, you got your gas pedal. That is gonna stay in it. Your brake pedal, which I'm gonna use the brake pedal from the Eclipse, which has just 4 bolts on it that hold it in each corner. And of course, there's a cotter pin on the end of that plunger. And the brake pedal from the Eclipse will be a direct swap. And of course, back here, as you can see a little where the sound deadening is kind of cut away slightly. This is where your master cylinder from your clutch and your clutch pedal is going to go. So you don't really have to eyeball it. This metal hole is about 1.5 inches. And of course, you can really just drill these out. We're going to pull this padding off because it comes right off. You can use a Dremel if you have a hole saw that big, a step bit, something. But these 3 holes need to be drilled out so you can mount your master cylinder to the firewall. So you can see I've got the hole started. Now I'm just going to go try to clean these up a little bit and widen them up. But I want to try to stay as close as possible to within these lines. All right, guys, so I got my holes drilled. They came out pretty clean. And they don't have to be exact, but as long as they're pretty close to the outline, your master cylinder should drop right in. The master cylinder from the Eclipse. Not sure where I'm gonna mount this part yet, but I guess I'll get to that later. And then I'll just mount this up here somewhere. All right, so the brake pedal's out. So there were 4 bolts on the back side. There was 1 bolt in the top, in that little cutout. Then you had to unplug this plug right here. And this cable was actually attached to the shifter. So if you took that out first, it'd already be disconnected and that can come out all together. And this can be thrown away. All right, guys, so I finally got the old automatic shifter cables out. All right, so this is the side that was on the transmission. And of course it runs down to the cables that connect the automatic shifter. Now, when you're under there, this is what you'll be looking at. The shifter cables are connected to the firewall. And to access them, I had to pretty much squeeze my entire upper body into the floor pan on the passenger side. Now, this bolt I was able to get off with just a couple extensions and a flex head with a socket. This one, barely enough room to get there's not enough room to get a full socket, and a wrench in there. So what I end up using is one of my flex head ratcheting wrenches. It's a 12mm. And basically what I had to do, use my fingers on my left hand to kind of hold the ratchet on the bolt, and then use just a couple fingers on my right hand to twist it. So needless to say, it took a while, but I finally got these out. It's definitely a pain in the butt to get out. Now I've heard if you don't want to do it that way, you can take off the glove box and then like it's part of the HVAC system and it'll give you a direct shot. So none of those are out the way. I've got my manual transmission cables, and I've replaced these rubber factory bushings, which again for the same reason I did the ones on the shifter, because they have a little bit of give, with these solid ones. And these manual transmission and these manual shifter cables just fit the same way. But if you look at it again, it's the same piece that was on your automatic. It's just 2 cables instead of 1. All right, guys. So we got the manual transmission shifter in, and what you'll notice is that from the automatic shifter, there are 2 cables. One of which runs from the shifter, the automatic shifter, to the brake pedal, and this other one runs from the automatic shifter to the ignition. These are both just safety features. So in order to get this cable out, because you don't need it anymore, you can really just cut it, because it kind of runs behind the dash. But for this sake, I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt this lower part of the dash here, and then take this off from the ignition. So in order to do that, there's just a couple screws. One in here, and there's gonna be at least 1 or 2 back here, another one there, and another one there. I think there's another one up under here somewhere. Pull this little side piece off, and it comes right out. So here's that wire. As you can see, it hooks right to the bottom of the ignition here. While I was looking for the proper way to do that, I kind of just pulled on it from the bottom and the whole assembly came off. So for the most part, we're done with the inside of the car. We do still need to do a little bit of wiring, hooking the clutch safety switch. All right, guys, so there is a little bit of wiring to be done when you do the swap. There's mainly 4 wires that you need to touch. So again, this is an 02. You want to locate this big 10-pin connector. So the wires we're going to need are these 2 thicker wires. There's one that's black and red, and then there's this one that's black and yellow. Now for here, you do have 2 choices. You can really just splice these together, and that'll allow you to start your car. But you do have to be careful if you go that route, because you will be able to start the car in gear.